Well, all right, y'all. All across the USC, Compton, Watts, Bay to LA. Pomona, California, from valley to valley, we represent that killer Cali. So if you keeping it real on your side of your town, you tune in to Gangsta Chronicles. Ew.
Gangsta Chronicles, we gon' tell you how it goes.
If I lie, my nose will grow like Pinocchio. We gon' tell you the truth and nothing but the truth. Ew.
Gangsta Chronicles, this is not your average show.
You're now tuned into the real MC8, Big James, and Big Steel.
This is strictly from the streets.
Hello.
We represent the James.
Because if you really go look at your local races, those races are only 500, 600, 700 people, 1,000 people. It's not a lot of people like you would think. Mm-hmm. I've helped people win races just by, we can put James right now on the ballot. And enough of your influence and enough of who you know can get you in office. That's guaranteed.
Man, can you imagine that shit, James, you in office?
Yeah, I can imagine.
That's probably what we need, though, because to be honest with you, Tez, like I look at James as the prime example. He's one of the most organized people I know. You know, he's on time. He's always, he has a great attention to detail. He don't half-ass do stuff. Mm-hmm. Those are good qualities to have. You understand what I mean? Those are great qualities to have. And I know you are a music aficionado. And when we talked initially, you had a little beef with something that was said that we had spoke on the Breakfast Club and everything. And you got James right here. I don't want to. I know you like to talk. You got him right here. Was there something that you want to tell him?
Oh shit! Oh shit!
You messy as hell.
Shit.
You messy. I didn't have. First of all.
Wow.
I know a little homegirl's place, so there's no way in hell I'm getting ready to argue with somebody that was in the room with somebody I never met. So let's first get that straight. Like I know the rules to the game. I know you want to have that conversation, but
you know the codes. You know.
I know the codes. Like still can pump this shit up if you want to, but I know the codes. I wasn't in the room. I don't know shit about shit. All I said was. And it's not even about Pac. And just for listeners who are watching, you guys were talking about, Pac and, how he should have made better decisions. And I know it was chopped up. The interviews are always not flowing from beginning to end. And I just simply made the comment that, all of us, evolve at some point. And I always like to point out, because one thing about Pac that inspired me was a lot of what I'm talking about. I started Concrete Roots based on his roles that grew from Concrete. A lot of him talking about, hey man, we need to get in politics and let's run for office. I had Do It All on my show, and he told Do It All years ago, that man, after we start getting in rap heavy, we can really start controlling politics and you can run for office. And he had never even imagined anything like that. And I've listened to the tapes of him talking about how he had Al Sharpton, with him and helping him, and how if you gave him 20 years, he would have a political party. So my vision of him is different from, an intimate relationship like you guys had. And all I just tell people is he died at 25. So it's easy when we get older, to go back and say what shoulda, woulda, coulda when he was so young. But again, I wasn't there. I get what you guys were saying. Was he know he wasn't about that life, so he should have set his ass down. I completely agree with that. But I was just simply speaking on by the perception, when people were hearing it.
Well,
it just needed to be, I just wanted to put context that he was just so young at that time,
right,
and didn't have a chance to grow like you guys have had the pleasure of living to be able to tell the story.
I think what it is, though, a lot of us don't get the opportunity, like you said, to grow, Tez, because it's a shame, when I turned 35, I had young cats calling me OG, and 35 is not an old man necessarily, but to us as Black people, we not, and that's sad to me. We don't really get to grow and become who we probably destined to be or who we probably could become. And that's our whole thing. We want to put programming, I don't know if programming is the right word for it, but we want to start trying to show these brothers that there are alternatives. You know what I mean? And a lot of people just don't know no damn better. Some people just ignorant because that's what they've been their whole life. That's all they've ever seen, and that's all they know.
Well, I think programs are important. You know, I want to be clear. I wasn't saying programs were not important. I'm just saying have the politics too. You know, have the programs and the politics. They go hand in hand. That's who funds the programs. That's who decides X amount of budget, you know, will be going to community-based programs. You know, just in California on the November election, when they were pushing Measure J to say a certain amount of income, you know, taxes that normally go to the police department need to go back to community programs. Your city and county commissioner are the ones that can write a check and say, hey, here go 50,000 to Gangster Chronicle program or whatever it is, instead of you having to raise the money and find the money and find the cap, you know, but and you can apply for the grants, but ain't nothing like when you got a politician that can directly, you know, give it to you and give you the necessary resources behind it to make it grow and put demands on politicians. You know, when we talk about men who, if they don't pay child support, how they don't get a driver's license. Well, it's great to have a program to teach men how to pay child support, but what about making sure that that law is overturned? Because how could he ever pay child support if he can't get to a job, if he can't drive? So laws have to be connected to programs too. It's not just, let's just give them food, but it's also, how do we make sure, you know, that they have jobs so that they can get their own food? You know what I mean? So a lot of times we do that and we make a difference, true enough. But I think it's because people haven't been exposed to how they can do something even greater than that, because they think they have to be in this world 24/7. No, all I need you to do is just go get the homies and tell me how many votes we got XYZ in this neighborhood, and then we'll take this shit from here. You know what I mean? Like, just understand that. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, just get a basic understanding of it. And I just know the impact. I'm gonna let James share this story, but James had went down to and we talked about it in the show a little bit last night, but this is just an example. It was a guy that had reached out to me. He had reached out. We get about probably 200 emails every week of just different people saying varying degrees of things. Some people have problems. Some mothers having problems with their kids. Some fathers having problems with their kids, you know, with gangs and stuff. And they don't necessarily know how to deal with it. But, you know, this brother reached out to me and he wanted to get in touch with James. So I gave him James' phone number. And he was really worried about his brother. And James had talked to the guy, and his brother said he was doing cool for a minute, but he had kind of relapsed into the same stuff he was doing before, that same pattern. So James popped up on him, and he had a really big impact on that dude. And I just know that's one person. Just imagine if that turns into two. Imagine if it turns into 3, 4, and 5. That's when you start really get stuff cracking to me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And the way you can multiply that faster is by policies and legislation and resources, so that you're not hustling by yourself.
Exactly. James, what was you gonna say? Because you sound like you came in for a minute.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you now.
Okay. I mean, you said there's a delay, but yeah, man, I just think it's important to if I can reach out to one or however many, that's what we need to do. I never looked at politics the way I'm hearing about politics today, that we can make a difference. I never believed in voting. Reason why, when I was turned down when I came home from prison, I think I was out maybe 4 or 5 years, and they told me I couldn't vote. So my vote ain't gonna matter anyway. That was my belief. But you know, it sounds so gangster, but it's so real. You know what I'm saying?
It is, because it's gangster.
All I'm thinking is the way you are. How do you take that into politics?
Yeah, and thank you for saying that, because that means a lot. Just to know, just like you say, if you touch one, it makes a difference to you. So thank you, for acknowledging that that this conversation is helping you see things differently, because that means a lot to me. And I want to just be clear about something. I'm not saying vote, just vote. You know how they just say vote for anybody and just vote, just make a difference. Because a lot of time it don't make a difference, because you're voting for a clown. You know what I mean? You're voting for somebody that
But
does.
But why is it always, yeah, get out, vote. You better be voting. Why is it always that?
Because that's the pimp game. I mean, that's a part of the pimp game to get you to just get out there and do what they want you to do. What I'm saying is go put a homie in office. You know what I mean? Go fund a politician. Go have influence with a politician. You know, when they say, oh, lobbyists control, special interests control everything. Everybody's probably heard that before, right? Oh, the special interests control it. You are a special interest. You also have an input in the community as well. You out there now coaching kids. When's the last time a county commissioner or city commissioner wrote you a check to make sure that these kids have the resources that they do? This is not all about us all the time doing fundraisers and barbecues and shit. The government has money for this shit, not through a grant. I'm talking about through your city, your county elected official. So they're always saying vote, because they want you to vote for them. But as you can see, that no longer works. That's not working like it used to work because the leadership, you don't see the difference in the leadership. What I'm saying is go put a homie on the ballot and see how they shake and see how they move and see how they start doing shit different. Even if you don't win, just the threat alone. It's just like back in the 90s when wearing colors like really mattered. You know, it could be some of the weakest niggas that just show up with all blue on, all red on. No, he ain't about to bust a grape on skates. But just you know what I mean? But just the presence of them. You know what I'm saying? The presence of just feeling like, you know what I mean? So that makes a difference. If you just look at the guy that ran against Maxine Waters. I knew he didn't have a chance in hell, and he's not from the hood and whatever, however you say. But just the simple fact that he ran against her made her step her game up times 10. And I knew he didn't have a chance in hell because the numbers weren't there, you know, for him to win. But he pushed a lot. He did some gangster shit. He was doing drive-bys all in the hood. Ain't that gangster shit?
Yeah, it's real gangster.
Do a drive-by on somebody every now and then and see how, you know what I'm saying? It's the same way that gangster shit works. Anytime there was a drive-by, don't the set want you to know who did what? I mean, don't you? So it ain't no different in politics.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You just gotta have you just gotta have your people out there that's making the calls and saying, no, we're not voting for you, Commissioner so-and-so. We're gonna go ahead, let's just put 8 on the ballot and see how many people show up just to fuck with them, if nothing else. And what that's going to do is make them come have a conversation with you.
I already told y'all 8 for president, man. Come on, stop playing.
You said it. And I'm telling you, even if you don't win, they have to have a conversation with you. It ain't no different than when you move and work, when you move and dope in somebody's neighborhood. I'm on Gangster Chronicles. Let's talk gangster shit.
Yeah,
if I bring the sack to your hood or your neighborhood, all of a sudden out of town, that's all y'all did in California was bring shit from out of town. What's the first thing they want to do? Knock your ass out the game because they know you getting it for less. They know that it's gonna be better, and they want to put you out the game. So they got one or two things. Either put you out the game or sit down and have a conversation and try to get connected to your plug. Is that not true? Is that not how it works?
Right.
Yeah, that's how it works.
Yes, indeed.
That's exactly how it works in politics. I'm going to go ahead and put MC8 on the ballot. If he get 10,000 people to show up for him, 5,000, I'm still fucking with your plug. I'm fucking with your work. I'm knocking something off chip by chip, rock for rock, nigga. We going rock for rock until somebody get out that seat. That is how the game works. And then they come to 8 and they say, hey man, what do it take to get you to sit down? I'm speaking in gangster terminology, work term now. What do it take you to sit down? I don't know. I guess you can buy my shit for 10, 15, 20, maybe. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? That's the same. It works the same way. Fuck voting for them. You go run.
Motherfucker, you got to learn how to use them street tactics and them the same shit I do in record business or anything. Just like when motherfuckers complain and talk about, you know, we old, we shouldn't be hosting shows. It's the young man's generation. And I say the same thing. Why should you stop your shit? So it's all about how you attack motherfuckers and basically how you get people to support you. And if you got a gang of supporters already and people still rolling with you, then why not? Fuck that. You have to stay true to yourself.
That's it. And the threat alone will make them move. It's about getting at the table and having a conversation on negotiation. But you might fuck around and win, just like Trump. He wasn't planning on winning.
Exactly.
He was just going in there doing a bunch of drive-bys and fuck around and knock the whole hood out.
Yeah, see, he like it, yeah. I mean, he never had no anticipation. That's what I tell people all day. He never anticipated on winning. He just figured, let me just come up in here and work up a gang of bullshit, knock everything around and shit, drive the price up a little bit, then I'm going to slide out in discreet. But then the motherfucker turned around and won and was like, oh, shit.
That's it. I'm telling you, it is just like the dope game, just like the gangster game. I just want people to know it so they can see it, because when I tell homies, they be like, at first they get mad. You don't have to explain to me that way I can understand. I know you can understand me talking to you regular. I put it in that terminology because I want you to understand how this shit is exactly like the streets. It's not kind of like it. It is exactly like the streets.